Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Laura Cahiao Wingenbach. I am the Research Compliance and Conflict of Interest Coordinator in the Office of Export Controls, Conflict of Interest and Responsible Conduct of Research. I'm honored to be here with all of you today and to be able to provide a brief demo of the Huron Disclosure System. So let's get started. So our team has been working with Huron for several months. It's going to be a year very soon. We started last year working with them to provide a comprehensive and centralized disclosure process for Texas A&M, TEAS, and AgriLife in the areas of conflict of commitment, conflict of interest, external employment, and outside activities. A few things to note. The two main processes that we have established in the system are the pre-approval requests. This process will be used to meet the requirements of System Regulations 310501, which is the Faculty Consulting and External Professional Employment, and System Regulation 310502, which is External Employment. The approval routing process is not going to change, has not changed, and it will continue to follow the process outlined in the regulations. The only change is that it will now be routed and approved within Huron. The second process is the COI disclosure, and this now includes financial conflicts of interest. That is just for investigators. If you are considered investigator, meaning that you're responsible for the design, conduct, or reporting of research, then you are subject to FCOI. So you will see additional set of questions that will cover financial conflicts of interest. And it also includes now conflict of commitment and federal requirement questions. This will need to be completed by all staff, whether they have anything to disclose or not. The objectives or the goals that we have established and that we are hoping we can achieve through the implementation of Huron and the disclosure centralization are these ones. The first one was improve compliance with current disclosure and approval routing processes. Number two, improve approval processes by establishing logical workflow for review based on review types and content. Three, support institutional needs for a consistent approval process and provide metrics for the use of the programs. And all of these, of course, with the goal of supporting continued success of the institutional partners. And last but not least, increase institutional and individual compliance with federal, state, and university rules and regulations. Like I mentioned at the beginning, the components or the processes that we have included in the system is the faculty consulting and external employment, conflicts of commitment, disclosures, and financial conflicts of interest. The integrations that we worked with Huron are TrainTrack, Single Sign-On, IRB, or what we call a Huron Research Suite, Maestro, and People Organizations Database, that's with Workday and FAMIS. So what happened is with TrainTrack, the integration between TrainTrack and Huron, we are bringing or we are capturing from TrainTrack. For those who are investigators, you know that you have to complete FCOI training every 4 years. So we are capturing that information. When was the last time that you completed your FCOI training? And that is going to be reflected in the Huron system. And I will show you where you can see the date that you completed your training and when is it going to be the next training that you have to complete. That's the only information that is going to be captured from TrainTrack to Huron. You won't see the completions of your other trainings. And if you're not subject to FCOI, you don't have to complete the FCOI training. So you won't see that expiration date or the date that you completed that training. In terms of single sign-on, that's what we are using to access the system. And I will show you how to add the Huron link to single sign-on. So, I mean, we have been working with IT to guarantee security and access to the Huron system. But if you feel more comfortable adding that link to single sign-on so you can access the system through that, I will show you how you can add that link in your single sign-on in a moment. In terms of IRB, IRB implementation and integration with the COI module is happening right now, but the process will be finished, I believe it's March 2023, and I'm pretty sure you will receive further information about that, the implementation of IRB or the Huron Research Suite integrated with the COI module. With Maestro, so what the integration with Maestro, what we did is we brought all the information about projects, all that information, the investigators associated with the project, and all that information is now included in Huron. So you can see now that your projects, if you access Huron system, you will be able to see projects under the certification tab, and I will show you in a moment where you can find those projects. We have brought that information and is now reflected in Huron system. So we COI administrators at Texas A&M, we are no longer reviewing projects in Maestro. We still have access to Maestro. We do review some information that is already there, but when we are asked to review projects for FCOI compliance, we are doing that in Huron. So that's why it's also important for you. If you have research projects, that's important for you to access the system and complete your disclosure profile. So that triggers that research certification review, and we can review the projects that you have right now. And in terms of people and organizations, database, Workday, and FAMIS, so what we did was to bring all the information from Workday in terms of organizational structure and, of course, names and your job title to fit into Huron. We are aware that beginning September 1st, a lot of schools or units are changing names or are merged. And so we are working right now in updating all the information in terms of your organizational structure and who is reporting to whom. So if you submit, for example, a pre-approval request and you see that the person that is listed as your current direct supervisor is no longer your direct supervisor, you can reach out to me and I will be more than happy to update the system. And so the routing process goes to the right person. So those requests go to the right person. It is my understanding that this process, the integration with FAMIS, Workday, and updating all the information of the organizational structures and schools and all these kind of things, I believe is going to be over this week, at the end of this week, hopefully. So we might be able to see the updated information in Huron maybe the upcoming week. If you still see that the person who is listed in the system as your approver is not the correct person, please reach out to me and I will share my contact information and everything with you, so you can reach out to me and I will update the information in the meantime in the system. So that's the process that we have followed with the integrations and how we are using the information from TrainTrack, Single Sign-On, Maestro, and Workday and FAMIS in the system. The disclosure profile is the focal point of the Huron system for the disclosure. Investigators will need to disclose interests related to their institutional responsibilities and complete training related to their regulations and the institution's conflict of interest policy, and that is per system regulation 150103. The biggest change regarding FCOI or COC is that questions will be broken out or are broken out into yes or no, instead of a generic question, do you have anything to disclose? And everyone will have to disclose, and that includes staff, whether they have anything to disclose or not. And that's very similar to how investigators had to disclose in Maestro. We have scheduled upcoming training sessions. In case you need additional session, that is absolutely fine. You can visit our website. I will copy and paste the link in the chat in a moment. Let me see. Oh, sorry. I will copy and paste the link in a moment in the chat. So you can visit our website and register for our upcoming training sessions. You can also see in that website our user guides. You can also find the user guides in the help center in Huron. I will show you where to access those user guides. So if you, for some reason, you're interested in attending another session, Huron session, you can register for any of the upcoming sessions. All of those are hosted via Zoom. If for some reason you prefer, for example, that we meet in person, or you want to schedule a training session for your group, your unit, your department, please let me know. I will give you my contact information in a moment, so you can, we can schedule a training session for you and your group. We definitely appreciate your time and flexibility and your patience, which is always needed with working in a new system for the first time. We also appreciate any feedback that you could share with us about the process that may help guide others as we get started with this path. We are still open for feedback. You know that we launched the system just over a little bit over a month and a half. So we are still adjusting and fixing things, glitches that might happen. I know that some students are having issues accessing the system. We are working on that. So there is still opportunity for you to provide feedback to us that can help us, of course, improve the experience for others. And before I access the system, just I wanted to show you how can you add the Huron link. Is not this one. This is just the link to our website. How you can add the link to the single sign-on, so you feel maybe more comfortable just accessing the system via that system. So I'm going to stop 1 second my sharing my screen. So the first thing that you will need to access, to add the link, the Huron link to single sign-on, is you can visit our website. The link has been also shared with you in different communications that you might have received. So you can copy the link here that is in our website, or in the communication that you have, you can copy the link. And when you go to single sign-on, when you access the system, you will arrive to the single sign-on menu. You don't have to add the link there, but you will see also the option here of my links. So to add the Huron link to the single sign-on menu, you will click here, Manage Links, and add user link. As you can see, I already added mine, but I just want to show you how you can do this. So you will click Add User Link. You will add the link here. A description, I just simply added Huron system. And once you complete this step, you click Save, and you should have the link already in the link. So the best way for you to confirm that you have added it is to come back to your main workspace in single sign-on, and it should be here. So if you click here, it will take you to the system. I'm just going to close that 1 second because I want to show you how it works accessing Huron system through single sign-on. So when you click directly to the link, not to the link, you will land in this page. What you will do is to click here, Texas A&M University, and it will prompt. He's not prompting me right now because, of course, I already logged in there, but it should prompt you to central authentication, and you should be able to access with your single sign-on NetID or UIN credentials, and you should be able to access. As soon as you access the system, you will land to the dashboard workspace. Please disregard all this information. In fact, I'm just going to get out of the production side because I don't want to mess up the production side, and I just want to open the Help Center to show you where our user guides are located so you can take a look at them. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to use the Stage Store, which is our testing site. So I'm just going to use the Stage Store. That's the app that we use to test all before we went live in the system. So as soon as you log in, you will still access, land in the dashboard, and where you will see your inbox and you will see your reviews. If you are department head, if you are the dean, you should take a look at the reviews that you have conducted, that you have already approved, and everything. You should see them in the tab My Reviews. So my inbox, what is going to show you is the task that you have pending. Please disregard all this information, since you will only see disclosure profile for you. You will see just this link, disclosure profile, and it will have your name here. I'm seeing all this information because I'm COI administrator, and I have to approve, review research portfolios or research certifications or pre-approval requests. So right now, you will access disclosure profile for you, and you can access your disclosure profile in two ways. You can click the link directly here. Please also disregard this tab, and this one. It only appears because I have the roles to access the system. So you will only see the dashboard and the COI tab. Once the implementation with IRB, integration with IRB is complete, you should also see the IRB tab here. But right now, it's under construction, basically. So you can access your disclosure profile by clicking here, or you can go to your click COI tab, and it will land in the disclosure type. As you can see right now, is because I have access to those, and these are just tests. I'm just going to locate my disclosure profile to access it. And this is basically, you won't have to do that. You will see only your disclosure profile. So you can access it clicking here or in dashboard. So I'm going to click here, disclosure profile for Laura. And this is your workspace. Here is where you will find where you are going to be submitting your disclosure profile and submitting pre-approval requests. That pre-approval request is what we used to call faculty consulting and external professional employment, or external employment forms. The paper forms that we used to use before, they are now included in the pre-approval request. You can take a look at the instruction center. Now, some of you, when you log in for the first time, you will see in the instruction center that no action is required. You should be able still to edit your disclosure profile or submit it for the first time, even though the system or the status here in this orange box will say no action required. So, you can disregard that. Right now, I do have an action because I have submitted. I still need to complete my disclosure profile, but I'm going to just do it. I keep it open for testing purposes or for the demos that we are conducting. So we are going to go first and do the exercise for submitting disclosure profiles for all of you. So to do that, you will click here, Edit Disclosure Profile, and it will take you to your disclosure. I'm sorry, I will start here. It is comprised by 4 sections. One is the instructions and policies that, of course, we encourage you to read carefully. The next section is the entity disclosure information, TAMO additional information. And the last step, which is very, very important for you to complete, is the complete disclosure profile. Because even though you answered all these questions, if you don't submit your disclosure or you don't complete this disclosure, that this last step here, your disclosure won't be submitted. So let's go. Let's assume that I have read carefully the instructions and policies, and I'm going now to entity disclosure information. This is what you are going to see. I'm just going to mark no here to delete that question for a moment. So in the first question, we are asking you, if you have something to disclose, please mark yes. And of course, it immediately will, the second question, the entity disclosure question will pop for you. We ask you to wait until the end of, until you have completed all these questions to add the information here, because depending on how you answer these questions, yes or no, if you click no, you don't have to add information there. But if you click yes to any of the following questions, you will have to add more information to the entity disclosure. So I would encourage you, kind of like to say, for save some time, maybe just answer the questions and then go back to question 2 and answer that. The system won't allow you to move forward unless it will throw an error. It will give you instructions for you to review what step maybe are you missing, or if you are not using the correct disclosure type. And I will show you in a moment the table with all the disclosure types that we have, so you can choose. So I'm just going to answer no for all these questions. In my case, because I'm COC, faculty and staff, I'm not a researcher, meaning I'm not subject to FCOI regulations. I'm not seeing the additional questions that come 10 to 15. And those questions are similar questions that if you submitted previously a disclosure in Maestro, you will find the same those questions there. And some examples are, for example, if you or a covered family member in the preceding 12 months have received income from a company, or if you are serving, if you have from a publicly or non-publicly traded company, if you have equity, if you have intellectual property, if you have received gifts that go beyond the threshold of $250. So all those are the FCOI questions. So if you're an investigator and subject to FCOI, you will see, in addition to these questions, you will see 5 more, if 4 or 5 more here. If you're not subject to FCOI, you will just see the questions that I'm showing you right now. So, okay, I answered all these questions, and I'm just going to go here. I'm going to delete this one. Just, I want to do the exercise with you to fill out what you will have to do. So you will click to add an entity disclosure. You will click here, add, and this new window will pop out for you. And the first thing that you will have to do is to add the entity with which you have a relationship, or you hold equity, or you're having, or you consult for that company, or if you provide editorial services, or if you have IP. These are all the type of disclosures that you can use to disclose financial interest. So as you can see, you can mark equity, or faculty consulting and external professional employment, editorial services, IP, maybe divestiture or cash payout, sponsored travel, board service. I mean, all these kind of options. So I'm just going to do an exercise. We have loaded also, we have a big database of organizations already loaded in the system. But if for some reason the company is not listed in our database, as you can see, we have 24,593 organizations. So, but if still, if in the system your organization is not listed, you can come here to the ellipsis and add the organization. Please notice that all the information that is marked with the red asterisk is mandatory, is required. So you will have to add the name. You will have to mark if it's public, it's a organization publicly traded, if it's foreign, and of course, the city and the country. If you don't have the address, that's fine, but for sure, you will have to list the city and the country where this company is located. So that's what you would do if you cannot find your organization in the entity list that we have. So I'm just going to pick one right now. Let me see. I'm just going to pick this first one to do this exercise with you. So I select the company. It will automatically load in the questionnaire or the form that we have open. Then you need to mark if this is in relation to yourself, spouse, or a dependent child. And just remember that in terms of the disclosure, it applies also to a covered family member. So I'm just going to say self, this is just for me. And I'm going to mark faculty consulting. I'm consulting for the company James A. Davidson Foundation. So I'm just going to mark here faculty consulting. But if I also hold equity, you can also select equity. And let's say, oh, I'm also part of the board. You can also click board service. Please notice that depending on what you mark, another set of questions are going to come out. So here are the questions associated to stocks or stock options or ownership interest. Then you will see, because I also selected consulting and other professional services, then I will have to answer the questions associated to faculty consulting or to consulting. And because I also selected board service, I need to answer the questions related to board service. So I'm not going to mark all of these for this exercise. I'm just going to go with faculty consulting so we can do a quick exercise. So I selected faculty consulting, and these are the questions associated to that. The first question is the approximate compensation received in the past 12 months. That is past compensation. I'm just going to mark 5,000. And what many days you spend on this activity in the past 12 months, I'm just going to mark, for example, 20. If there is additional information that you would like to include for us to review that you think might be easier for us to review, you can add it here. You can attach a copy of the consulting advisory or speaking agreement. Please notice that this is optional. This is not required. So if you don't have an agreement or a copy of your consulting the contract or something, well, you don't have to submit it. If you do, and you think that providing that information can help us review the information and approve your disclosure, well, you can add it. But please notice that just the ones that are with a red asterisk are questions that require a response from you. The next question is the estimate amount you will receive from this company, and that is future compensation. We understand that you might not know exactly how much are you going to receive from consulting services. So you can just provide an estimate here. So I'm just going to say 6,000, for example. That's what I think is going to happen. You can always go back to your disclosure profile and edit that information. You have that flexibility. And I'm just going to mark 2 days here. Okay, if you do have to add another SFI, meaning with a different company, you will click here, okay, and add another. If you don't have anything else to add, you just simply can click here, okay, and the information will be automatically populated in the entity disclosure. You will see a total value of 11,000 because I am disclosing the previous income that I received for my consulting activities and the approximate amount that I will receive in the next 12 months. Please disregard this. You should not see, if you don't have any pre-approval request, you can, this is not going to show for you right now. So you will just simply go, you have responded to the questions. If you prefer to respond the first one and go to entity disclosure and then proceed answering the questions, that's okay. You can still do it, but please be aware that if you respond yes to any of these questions, it will prompt you to go back and add an entity disclosure. So I just want to show you how it will, for example, will show. You will see that the system should not allow you to move until you don't disclose the information related to that question. If for some reason you have to leave, you have to teach classes, you have a meeting, and you have not completed your disclosure profile, you can save and exit. And once you come back, it will take you right to where you left off. You can also save and continue to the next session, or even if you don't save, but you click continue, automatically the system is going to save that information for you there. So let's see what happens now that I mark yes here. 1 second. As you can see, there is an error because I have not selected the right disclosure type associated to that question. And right now is asking me to add either if it's for this company or another one, I need to add the disclosure type external employment or outside activities disclosure type. So you will see that it will give you instructions. It will tell you what do you need to review so we can fix that error. So I just wanted to show you how the system works. In case you have to, if there is an error, it will show you where and what do you have to do. So I'm just going to mark no here. I'm going to click save. Remember that if you are an investigator and subject to FCOI, you will see an additional set of questions, though the question associated to FCOI. So I'm ready. I finished this section. I'm going to move to the next section, and you can click here, TAMO additional information, or you can simply click here, continue, and it will take you to the next section. Here you will see a different set of questions, and you can see these are questions associated to different system policies or system regulations. So we encourage you to read carefully and, of course, answer the questions. As you can see, all of them require your response. If you don't respond to these questions, you won't be able to complete your disclosure profile. So I'm just going to, I already completed this section. If you have to leave, you have a meeting, you have teaching appointment, you can save and exit. And again, when you come back and edit your disclosure profile, it will take you to the same, to right where you left off. So I finished completing this section, and the next section is the one that definitely you need to complete. Even though you have answered to the rest of the questions, if you don't click this button, complete disclosure profile update, your disclosure won't be submitted, and most likely you will receive an email from me asking you to please go back and access the system and submit your disclosure profile. So I have finished everything, and I'm going to go ahead and complete disclosure profile. You will see a new window with additional information that you have to read. You need to, this is important. I want to highlight this part. If you mark that you have faculty consulting or external employment or foreign collaborations, under TAMO system regulation 310501 and 02, you must submit a pre-approval request. So let's assume that I read carefully all this information. I'm just going to mark OK. And you can see now in the orange box that there is no action required, meaning that I have submitted my disclosure profile. Let's see. Okay, we have everything here. We have submitted the disclosure profile because I disclosed consulting activities. And like I read in the certification, the last page before submitting the disclosure profile, I need to submit a pre-approval request, which is the second process that we have in Huron. Before I go to pre-approval request, I want to show you that in my case, because I'm not subject to FCOI, there is no training date showing for me because I don't have to complete that training. But if you are an investigator and completed your training already, you will see here the date that you last completed the training, and it will also show you when is the next time that you will have to complete the FCOI training in TrainTrack. This is a nice feature that we have here in the system, and is the proxy feature. So for example, if you have an assistant and you would like to ask that person to help you adding the information to your, to your disclosure profile, you can assign a proxy, and the person will only be able to add information, but the proxy won't be able to submit a disclosure profile on your behalf. Even if the person adds all this information in the disclosure profile, you will still have to go back and submit and click your disclosure profile. So if you do have a proxy, if you have someone, your assistant maybe, that you would like to add to help you add in the information, please reach out to me and I will add that person as your proxy. So once it is added, you just can simply click here and add. For example, I'm just adding, this is one person. You just need to mark here, click here. If you click the name of the person, it will be there, and click OK. And the person is going to receive a notification letting her know that that has been added as a proxy. So the person will have a task in the dashboard and will be able to add the information. Once the person has added that information for you, you can remove the person as proxy. I'm just going to do that. Okay. So let's go to the pre-approval request. Again, this is the form that is replacing the paper copy that we used to use to request faculty consulting and external employment that is under System Regulation 310501. If the external activities are not related to your institutional responsibilities, you still have to submit a pre-approval request, and that is per System Regulation 310502. So you will see your name here, your requester. The requester, I'm just going to add test, for example. Here are the different type of requests that you can add, that you can include. Please notice that the difference between the disclosure profile and the pre-approval request is that you have to submit a pre-approval request per activity that you have. So right now, for example, I'm just going to add here other appointment. As you can see, I won't be able to, if there is something else with this in my pre-approval request that I need to add, I will have to submit an additional pre-approval request. I cannot submit two in one. So for example, I'm part of the board of trustees or another nonprofit or something, you will select this option. Because I disclosed activities, consulting activities, and other professional services, I'm just going to select this option, and then I will have to respond. Here are the rest of the options. If again, if your external activity is not related to your institutional responsibilities, you will have to select external employment. So you have different options for you to select. Once you select the appropriate type of request, you also can save and exit in case you have a meeting or you have to go and teach a class. It will take you right where you left off. So I'm just simply going to continue here. Then I will add the company, and the same as with the disclosure profile. If you cannot find the company here in the database that we already have, you can go to the ellipsis and add your company here. And remember that this information is required. So let's do this. I believe I used this one. I'm selecting the company. You will have to describe the scope of work, your consulting activities with this company. If you do have other roles in the same company, you can add here in this section in the scope of work, you can add that you are not only consulting for them, but you're also part of the scientific advisory board or the board of trustees. So you can add that additional role also here in the scope of work. You will need to add the start date and date. Right now, for example, is a very good opportunity for you to submit your pre-approval request. Remember that faculty consulting and external employment requests need to be submitted each year. It's only valid for a fiscal year. So if you already submitted it, but it already most likely already expired. So this is a good opportunity, good timing for you to submit your pre-approval request for this academic year. You will add here the start date. I'm just going to add here start date, September 1st, and date. Let's do August. August 31st. That's the academic year, the fiscal year. Estimate time I will spend in this activity will be 10. Amount of compensation. Remember, I mean, you might not have the accurate value or the right value right now, but we are just asking you maybe for unexpected or an estimate value. So I'm just going to mark 5,000, for example. If this is related to your institutional responsibilities, you will need to mark yes here. And please notice that once you mark yes here, you also need to provide a description of how this activity with this company is related to your institutional responsibilities. If it's not, you just simply mark here no. It will also asking you if you receive any kind of funding or in-kind support for research activities from this entity. If you do receive in-kind support, please notice that you will also have to describe here the type of funding or in-kind support that you receive. The same will be if this activity involves any undergrad, graduates, or postdoctoral researchers. If they are involved there, you need to describe the student's role in this activity here. Then it's optional for you if there is something else that maybe has not been covered in the previous questions and you consider is important for your supervisor and the dean for them to know for their approval, then you can add it here information. As you can see, also this is optional. If you do have a contract or an agreement, you can upload it here if you consider that this is important for information for your department head or the direct supervisor, department head, and the dean for them to review. You can add it here. You need to mark, for example, the location of related work performance. If you are requesting release time or not, if you click yes, you need to provide a rationale or explain the basis for requesting release time here. And again, if there is equity involved, you will also have to select yes here and provide the amount of and type of equity or ownership interest that you have in this company. I'm just going to mark no here. So I just want to be sure that I have completed all the sections. If there is something that I have not responded to, it will throw an error and I won't be able to continue. So it seems like I have completed everything. I'm just going to continue. And again, like with the disclosure profile, this section is very important. You can exit, but if you don't click submit here, like in the disclosure profile, your pre-approval request won't be submitted. So I'm just going to click here, submit. And Again, I encourage you to read carefully these certifications. These certifications are the same ones that were contained in the paper form. These are not new. If you're you're submitting faculty consulting and external employment related to your institutional responsibilities, these certifications, you previously saw or read these certifications. Still, please review and read carefully. If you are submitting external employment, meaning external activities not related to your institutional responsibilities, then these certificate statements apply to you. So let's assume that I have read carefully all this information, and I will click here, okay. Perfect. So no errors. Then you will see this is the form that you just submitted. You will see the information is the type of request that you submitted, your name here, the employer, meaning your unit or school, your department. You can see the stages of review. Following the routing process for faculty consulting and professional external employment, you will see that normally the paper copy will go first to your direct supervisor, then it will go to the department head, and then to the dean. It's the same process, like I was mentioning at the beginning of this meeting, is the same routing process that we are following. So in my case, Lisa, because it's my direct supervisor, she's the first person to review my request and approve or deny. Then it will go to Dr. Baldoff, because of course he's my boss's boss. And finally, it will come, all your pre-approval requests will come to our office for final approval. As you can see, the dean is not listed here, but once it gets to this stage, I add the dean via ancillary review. So they have to approve or submit their review before I approve this request for you. That's how we are following the routing process here. If you do have another pre-approval request to submit, you can also copy this request. For example, if it's with the same company, you can add a copy request, and you just add another name, and it will open immediately. You will have another workspace, pre-approval requests. Please disregard, of course, all those are the tests that I have performed, but the one that you copy is over here, and it should be ready for you to edit the pre-approval request. So instead of marking a consulting activity, you will mark here board service, if that's what you want to disclose. I'm just going to ignore these changes. If for some reason you copy a pre-approval request by mistake, you can also discard the option, so it's not it doesn't go routing, and it won't show in your list of pre-approval requests. So I'm just going to discard, just go here, and I'm going to go back to here. Okay. So I wanted to show you, okay, so you all will see these tabs. Basically, you will be working with disclosures and requests. If you want to download reports, you also have access to certain reports. You can download that. I just want to show you, but in the production side, I want to show you the help center, where you can find all the user guides that we have developed for you. You can also find these user guides in our website. At least we have uploaded the main user guides for you. You can always visit our website. You can visit the Division of Research website and go to conflicts of interest and responsible conduct of research, and then you will be able to find the disclosure profile in here.